Hi, this is the bad boy, Joey Janela, and you're listening to the Going In Raw podcast, because Joey Janela always goes in.
This is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, and you are listening to Going In Raw.
Hey everyone, Kenny Omega here. In case you didn't know, we have an awesome kick-butt show called Steve and Larson's Going In Raw, and they're going to be supporting AEW every week amongst many other things. Goodbye and smooch. Good night. Bye-bye.
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found. And of course, taped live at the Twitch, twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. What's going on this weekend? Oh, yeah, we got TakeOver. That's right. We got TakeOver this
Sunday.
We'll
be doing our predictions tomorrow.
Yeah, we're not going to be doing... and what's the Impact one? No, it's not hard.
No Surrender.
No Surrender. Thank you. All these Steven Seagal movie titles. We're not going to be doing that this Saturday because I will be gone.
Yeah.
And who wants to do 2 pay-per-views in a row?
Unless it's WrestleMania. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Wrestle Kingdom.
But you know, you guys watch it, have a good time, and we'll
totally.
catch I'm sure they'll have on Tuesday. They'll have a Fallout episode on.
Hey,
Impact.
and on Saturday as well, Bloodsport 4 featuring
Caljack. Yeah, we got to start plugging that.
Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna watch that after the fact though. But I'm gonna be in.
They got some good deals. You can get Bloodsport 4 and 5 and like a T-shirt. They got a package, and the T-shirts look pretty cool.
Yeah, those do look cool. I've seen those. Those are cool. You know what else is cool? Tonight's AEW Dynamite.
Hell of a show.
Holy crap. It didn't have to be a themed episode, and they put on just a banger. Like, it just felt like there was an extra spring to their step tonight. Of course, it was all capped off. Number one, there was a lot of story movement going on just all across the board tonight. But
okay,
also,
hold on. Time out. Patrick Oliva says, haha, check out AEW after the show. Kenny and Good Brothers just did a New Japan-style press conference.
Okay.
Wait.
All right. That's going to be good.
Anyways, yes, you're talking about storyline. This is probably the most traditional in terms of the storytelling devices and tropes of pro wrestling, the most storytelling focused episode of Dynamite they've had. Mm-hmm. Usually they'll have, a handful of interview promo bits and then a bunch of matches. There was a lot more interview stuff, a lot more promo stuff tonight than typically appears on Dynamite. But thankfully, they were smart enough to not let any one of those individual segments overstay their welcome.
Well,
which is
none of them
Raw has, or especially Raw, but WWE in general.
None of them were purposeless. You know what I mean? Like, they all served, and oftentimes it's, hey, tell us about what just happened. Well, we just saw what happened. We don't really need to know their motivation. I mean, there was one maybe exception with that, and that was Sammy. But man, I want to know what was going on in Sammy's head. So it's like even that's motivated. No, I thought that everything on the episode tonight really counted. It really mattered. Even the Cody stuff. Like, there wasn't any of that sort of bunk Shaq Jade Cargill stuff, which I'm kind of over. I kind of just want that to come and go. We got Lee Johnson, the newest member of the Nightmare family, with a pretty great interview. He picked up a win for his tag team tonight. A great way to sort of reintroduce people to a guy who's been putting in a lot of work in AEW over the past year. So that was really cool. But yeah, every little bit had some amount of story to it. It felt like the show had a great flow to it. It felt like it was 2 hours, and it felt like everything that was going on really meant something. So it was like a jam-packed 2 hours.
It was one of those episodes of Dynamite that felt cohesive, storylines weaving in and out of each other.
Yeah.
It felt like a living, breathing thing.
Yeah.
You know,
it was good stuff.
It felt organic. Like, yeah, I love those. That's one of my favorite parts of when WWE back, people say the Attitude Era, but whenever they're kind of really in their creative stride, is that the show just feels vibrant and organic, and things are weaving in and out. And like backstage feels like, it's live, anything can happen back there. And I love those type of wrestling shows because they just feel there's a sense of urgency, in every segment. And this Dynamite felt like that.
Yeah, and then of course it was punctuated. We're going to go through the beats here in a second, but it was punctuated by, I'll be honest, man, one of the just absolute balls out nutso main event matches with that Falls Count Anywhere tag match.
Spectacular stuff, man.
Kenta and Kenny versus Mox and Archer. I feel like even the dude who took the pin here, they made him look like $1 million with how much it took to get the pin on Lance Archer.
Oh, that bit where it's just him and Kenny, and he's just staring at Kenny and talking trash, and Kenny has to go grab that kendo stick to kind of like gets back in the ring. It's like, all right, I got to do this. And then Archer just catches that kendo and snaps it over his leg.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
It was great stuff. We'll just start at the beginning, though. The Steve notes are out there, so check your Twitch notifications, subs, FC TV channel members also over on the Patreon and YouTube channel members. You get the Steve notes there as part of that reward tier. Kicked off with Joey Janela versus Darby Allin for the TNT title. And, we kind of thought this was going to enter into deathmatch territory. These two guys really have a reputation for doing a lot of crazy stuff. There was a lot. I like that it started off with a bunch of wrist lock stuff.
Yeah, it was great.
And then, you get that. And then it's like, oh, wow, they're just going to be doing some wrestling stuff. And then, of course, Joey Janela just dumps Darby Allin on his face on the apron and then launches like a suicide dive elbow right at Darby Allin. But we got a lot of really great mat wrestling. Probably more than anybody expected. But then, we also got an avalanche code red that Darby Allin hits on Joey Janela. And then he follows that up with a coffin drop for 3. Really fun match, though.
Yeah, it was a really fun match. Really fun match. Next, we had a brief Kenta hype package, hyping up Kenta's appearance in AEW and the main event. After that, a Mox promo. He's like, hey, Kenta's been calling me out. Look, he's been looking like a dork doing it, carrying around that briefcase. Last week was no surprise. Kenta realized the time for cheap talk was over. But if he wants to get it done, he'll have to do it February 26th. He says on that date, he'll dump Kenta on his head in a sanction match. Tonight isn't sanctioned. Tonight, I team with the guy, Lance Archer, who tried to kill me not that long ago, to take on 2 guys who want to take me off the board. Hey, tonight is just for fun.
Yeah. After that, we have some Inner Circle drama as Sammy shows up at the Inner Circle's little dressing room area. He says, hey, guys, can I get a minute alone with MJF? They say, hey, MJF, are you cool with this? And he was like, yeah, go on. So they leave. Sammy insists the cameraman stays. He says, look, man, Sammy says, I know what you're doing. Basically, he says, I know you're trying to take over the Inner Circle. MJF says, man, at first I thought when I showed up and you were so resistant to that, I thought it was just
First, as he's saying that, he takes his phone out of his pocket.
Yeah.
And puts it on the little dressing room desk there. Yeah.
Puts it on the table there. He says, I thought this was just a petty rivalry. I thought you were jealous. He said, but then I realized, I think you hate Jericho. I think playing second fiddle to Jericho bugs you. You always want to be front and center. He says, I think you want to take over the Inner Circle. And Sammy very sarcastically says, oh, yeah, you're right. I hate Chris Jericho. And MJF says, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. And then he goes and he grabs his phone and you hear the very distinct doot-doot recording sound on the phone. And Sammy says, whoa. You're recording me? Is that what you're doing? He grabs his phone and he chucks it against the wall. And then he just gut punches the crap out of MJF, who crumbles down to the floor.
Yep.
After that, we got Cody and Lee Johnson versus Pretty Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi.
Yeah. So fairly early in the match, Bononi hits like a pretty cool looking reverse pump handle slam type deal on Cody. Yeah, Cody's selling shoulder. Eventually, Cody hits what I guess it was something similar to Nikki Bella's old finisher, the Rack Attack on Avalon. Gets the tag to Lee. Lee goes on an extensive run, including this amazing corkscrew tope thing out of the ring onto Cesar Bononi. Hits Avalon with a really good looking fisherman neck breaker, which Shivani said, oh my gosh, he broke his neck. In response to it. Anyways, Bononi breaks up that pin. He and Cody kind of go back and forth a little bit. And then Lee Johnson ultimately rolls up Peter Avalon to get the W. He walks up to the stage with Cody, Shivani, QT, Dustin. They're waiting for him up there. So Tony interviews Lee Johnson, and Lee says he wishes he had the words to describe the moment, but he doesn't. He says, after a year of losing, my coaches all showed me that if you do the work, it'll pay off. He says, the Rhodes family is my family, and they alone did this for me.
Yeah, it was. It seemed really heartfelt.
Yeah.
It was pretty great. Yeah. Okay. So here's the press conference. I'm not going to watch it right now, obviously, but yeah, that's funny stuff. The press conference afterwards with Kenny and the Good Brothers. Speaking of the Good Brothers, afterwards we had a Young Bucks interview. They're asked, hey, you guys are eliminated pretty early. What are your thoughts on that? And Matt notices off camera are the Good Brothers. He's like, oh, you want to know why we're eliminated? Let's ask these guys. So the Young Bucks are pissed. Nick's like, yeah, I was distracted. I got eliminated. And the Good Brothers, they're just so good-naturedly, like, dismissive of it. And he's like, and Matt's just beside himself. He's like, dude, if we'd have won this thing, we would have chosen you. Would have been the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers.
Dream match,
a dream match, exactly. And then the Good Brothers sort of turn around on the Bucks and be like, no, you shouldn't be upset at us. Come on, we're your friends. You should be upset at the Inner Circle. Like, MJF and Jericho doing your pose.
Santana Ortiz, they're the one that actually eliminated you.
They actually got the elimination. And Matt's like, yeah, I'm just real riled up right now. You know what? I don't feel like waiting to defend these titles. So how about next week? We'll defend them against somebody in Inner Circle. Ex-LAX, Santana Ortiz, we'll take them on, and we'll put these titles on the line. And the Good Brothers like, oh, that's a great idea, man. Too sweet us. And Matt's like, that's sort of our thing. I want to keep that private. There's like people like Sting's around the corner. I don't want to do it in front of Sting. And he's like, what are you talking about, baby? He was Wolfpack. He knows all about it. The red and black. Come on, Sting. Sting, come too sweet me. And Nick's like, I'll too sweet you guys. Nick always pay attention to Nick. He always has that real low-key, hilarious vibe to him. He's funny, dude.
Yeah, he is funny. After that, we had a Hangman Page interview. He's asked, could you be with Team Hardy? He says no. Then Matt Hardy walks in, says, hey, we're undeniable together. We don't have to be a tag team. Let's at least go celebrate. I rented out a bar. Tab's on me. Page is like, oh, tab's on you, sure.
Whoa,
yeah, let me go grab my phone. So he's going to
bar.
go grab his phone, and he walks by the entirety of the Dark Order. And John Silver is kind of like stumbling over his words, kind of awkward, trying to talk to him. And this part was, they actually, like, the performance on this was great because the way they were stumbling over each other's words felt so natural.
It was running into an ex is what it was. Like trying to be friendly, running into an ex, and who hasn't been there? It's always so awkward.
And then ultimately the page just says, well, Matt invited me to go to the bar, and I'm gonna go do that with him, so I'll see you later. And Silver says something that goes, oh,
stupid.
Yeah,
that was good. So a couple of people mentioned, and they mentioned this a couple of times, that when Lee Johnson was mentioning all the people in the Nightmare family, the Nightmare family, he didn't say QT Marshall, and apparently he was very sad about that, his facial reaction. I didn't notice that, but I might go back and look. It's probably pretty funny. After that, we had the Bastard Pack versus I have it written down here, Kirk Bigler. He looks exactly like his brother.
It's Ryan Nemeth. Ryan Nemeth got annihilated by Pac here. I think Nemeth got like 3 moves off. Otherwise, Pac destroyed him.
Yeah, he had a forearm and he had a drop kick. Those are the only ones that I saw.
DDT. He had a nice looking DDT. Because Pac spiked himself into the mat.
Yeah.
Anyways, Pac got the win. Hits the Black Arrow, follows it up with the Brutalizer, get the W. Pac's great.
I remember when I first saw Dolph Ziggler, I was like, that sounds a lot like Dirk Diggler. Why are they doing that? What is that name? Why are they doing that? And it stuck.
I know. All these years later.
That's got to be one of the worst names. That's got to be like one of the worst names. But then it stuck because they just kept it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I don't know.
After that, we had
a recap of the Kip and Penelope wedding thing.
Oh yeah.
They had some promo bits, and they actually, some of the stuff, they shot some like really tight close-up macro lens stuff of them after the wedding that was actually really cool.
Oh, I missed that. I heard recap, and I went to go get my dinner.
There was like just real quick shots of each of them after then. So like Penelope still had cake on her face. He just looking utterly just like humiliated and distraught. It was quick, it was really well done. So Miro's dropping a promo throughout, all this B-roll of the ceremony and this other stuff they shot. He blames, he's like, Chuck, I treated you like a brother, essentially. I don't blame you. I blame Orange Cassidy for ruining everything. I'm going to go put him in the hospital along with your friend Trent. And then we cut backstage. Orange is drinking some champagne. Chuck's there too, not in the butler gear. And then Cassidy's like, what do they think was going to happen?
After I'm not sad I missed that. I really don't care about that story at all. Anyways, after that we had Inner Circle action, MJF and Jericho versus the Acclaimed. Of course, MJF selling that gut punch.
There was an interview
FPOS
before the
tape.
match, though. You must have missed that interview too. Did you miss this interview? Because Dasha is like, hey, you guys it's Jericho and Santana Ortiz, I believe. It's like, hey, you guys are short a couple members. And Jericho's like, oh, MJF, this is, we're number one contenders. This match is important. He'll show up. So Santana Ortiz walk in and like, MJF was just in the trainer's room.
Mm-hmm.
MJF comes in. He's got the FPOS rib tape on. He's like, Chris, Sammy sucker punched me. I might have broken a rib. We got to go deal with this. And Jericho's like, well, we have a match to worry about right now. We'll go take care of that later. Let's worry about the match.
He broke a rib. That's funny. So yeah, he has a rib tape on. Everybody's there at ringside except for Sammy. And yeah, this is a fun match. Mid-match, MJF has Caster in a stretch, and he's got Jericho helping him out, with the leverage in the corner, holding on to him. I love how neither of them, though, were paying attention to where the ref was, because Jericho had his head up like this. Aubrey Edwards notices and kicks the hold off.
Yeah.
But then, there's all towards the finish here. So, like, Inner Circle gets the upper hand. Bones tags in. There's all sorts of Inner Circle interference. And eventually Jericho hits that Judas effect for 3 on Caster to get the win there.
Things get interesting, though, after the match. So Inner Circle celebrating. Sammy Guevara walks out. And Jericho's like, hey, what's wrong? What's wrong with you, Sammy? What's the problem? Sammy says, I told you, Chris, that if one more thing happened with him, MJF, that I was done. And so I'm out here to tell you that I'm done. And Jericho says, well, I want to know what you mean. Sammy says, I'm done. I'm quitting the Inner Circle. He lays down the mic and just walks out of the ring.
And then
it was really well done. The way I'm describing it, it sounds like a pretty simple, not terribly impressive segment. But in its simplicity, it allowed like a lot of, like, you look at MJF the whole time, and when Sammy says he's done, he turns to the camera, is like, almost kind of giddy. He seems happy.
Yeah.
You pay attention to everybody involved, even on the periphery. Like Hager had some interesting reactions to things. So, we see Sammy stepping away from the Inner Circle, which is obviously part of MJF's plan. Seemed really happy about it. But we still don't know exactly what the dynamic is between everybody else, between MJF and like Hager, XLEX. We don't know for sure. We've gotten hints, but we just don't know for sure.
I kind of don't think that this is going to. It's obvious what MJF is trying to do.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to go down the obvious route of him accomplishing that particular goal, though. Yeah. And I'm really curious to see where they're going to take it, because there's going to be at least a couple of twists along the way. It seemed kind of obvious that it seemed before like they were going to take a pretty simple route, but it's been such a brewing situation, and MJF is just so obvious about things. And I know there's going to be some twist to this. And I know this is one of the pieces of that particular puzzle. And I know that when it eventually ends up happening, we're going to be able to look back on tonight and see all sorts of clues that could have led us to that direction. I just, I'll have to go back with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah.
And
I guess the most obvious thing is Sammy and MJF were in on it the whole time,
Something like that. Yeah, something like that, right?
Afterwards, both plotting to kick, both plotting to kick Jericho out so they could take over the Inner Circle.
Yeah. Afterwards, Marvez tracks Sammy down on his way out, asks, why'd you leave the Inner Circle? He says, I just need time to get away from that place. So we'll see how that works itself out.
After that, Matt Hardy and Hangman Page in the bar. Page is drunk. He's telling some stories. Hardy says, I'm still buzzing from their win last week. Says their magic as a team. As he's talking, he gets another drink from the bartender, dumps it out. Hardy says, hey, we've been having a great time. Page, I think I can make you the number one wrestler in AEW. I can make you super rich. He takes a contract out. Says, I'll take a small proportion, only 30%, but think about the millions you could make. And Page is like, I think you're right. Sure, why not? Yeah, you got a pen? And so he gets a pen from Matt Hardy, and then while Page is starting to sign it, at least Hardy thinks, Hardy looks at the camera and is like, hey, I wanted you here because he's probably going to get angry when he sobers up. I want to make sure we have a record of this happening. And so while Hardy is talking to camera, Page switches out the deals, switches out the contracts. And so he signs it, and Matt doesn't even look at it. He's like, oh, he's just so excited. He just takes pen to paper, signs it. He says, hey, I'm going to make you a billionaire. So Hardy leaves, and then the Page takes a sip of his beverage and goes, I'll have another one of these.
Yeah, I mean, Hardy's going to need a lot more alcohol than that. Hangman has, obviously, at this point. Maybe he had a big meal. His tolerance, which is already pretty strong.
Yes,
he had enough wherewithal to have a different contract ready to go to do the switcheroo there on Matt Hardy. That was good stuff. Anyways, afterwards, we had a Sting. I will admit, I did not see this twist coming in this particular Sting interview, because it starts off, so it's another Sting interview with Shivani, as we've been accustomed to. And again, before he can really get any words out, we have Taz interrupting him up there on the Tron outside the arena. And but this time he's coming to you from vehicle. Yeah. And he's like, hey, we got one of your friends here, Sting. You might know who we're talking about, hey. And then you look, and they have like the other members of Team Taz. I think Hobbs is in the driver's seat, but you got Brian Cage and Ricky Starks.
Cage and Starks, yeah.
And they've got a body bag with Darby Allin in it, knocked out, and they zip it up, and the camera in one shot, so it's legit, goes back, and the body bag is attached to like a rope, which is attached to the back of the car. And the car zooms off and just drags the body bag with it. I did not see that one coming. What is with kidnappings in AEW?
Don't know. But later on, we found out that Marco's fine. We found out that Marco's stunt apparently has been released, and he's okay.
Well, that's good.
Maybe take some solace in that.
You can only have one kidnapped person per episode.
I guess so. So Sting sees that. He storms off. We don't see him again. So after that, then we get Kenny Omega on the golf course. He's setting up for a shot, trying to hit a chip or a wedge shot out of the bunker. Marvez rolls up, and Kenny's like, enough, no talking. Not while I'm golfing. Just sit back and watch this shot. So Kenny hits his wedge shot with the sand wedge, knocks it out of the bunker, maybe towards the green. So Marvez asks what Kenny is doing there. Should you be prepping for your match tonight? Kenny says, I've proven to be the greatest wrestler of all time. What do you expect me to, and Don Callis be sitting around studying tape? No, I'm out here becoming one with nature. I've forgotten what it's like to lose, and I'm not going to lose tonight. And he looks over at Don. It's like, did it go in? And Don's like, yeah, it went in.
Sure did, buddy. He has the ball with him. Yeah. I love the Michael Jordan playing golf stuff. I think it's great. Yeah. I forget what it's like to lose. Yeah. I imagine Jordan has probably said that on the.
Well, that's what the North Carolina thing apparently is from.
Mm-hmm. It's all about Jordan. After that, we had a really terrific match between. This is the first of the women's eliminator tournament on the U.S. side. Thunder Rosa versus legit Leyla Hirsch. But during the entrances, we had a little promo with Thunder Rosa. I thought this was great. I thought it was. Sometimes she has had a tendency to ramble on a little bit. I loved how concise and she was able to channel her energy into this promo. She said, I want three things. I want to win this tournament. I want to get my NWA title back, and I want to beat Britt Baker. And you don't like playing by rules? Fine. I can play without rules as well.
Yep.
And this was just a really, really, really good match, dude.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was really good. Leyla Hirsch is really good. Thunder Rosa is really good.
Yeah.
In the end, Thunder Rosa was better in this bout. She's looking for her finish, the Fire Thunder Driver. Hirsch counters into an arm breaker. She was trying to work over Thunder Rosa's arm pretty much the entire match. Thunder Rosa powers her up for power bomb, follows with a Fire Thunder Driver to get the win. Man, just a lot of fun. And after that, they showed the full bracket for the Eliminator tournament.
Let's talk about that just really briefly, though. So we're deep into we're 40 days into 2021 now or so.
Yeah.
Thunder Rosa, when she comes out, she has got a stacked AEW record that they display on her lower third. At what point are they ever going to officially announce that she's just in AEW? I mean, she probably hasn't actually signed. I know that.
No, I don't think she can because she's under contract with NWA until some point this year.
Or so we think. We don't know.
Well, that's what Billy Corgan said. That's what Billy Corgan said.
In 2021. Did he say when in 2021?
No, we
are deep into 2021.
Well, I mean, we're 40 days. That's not exactly deep. But anyways, yes, I guess
she could be out of the contract by now for all we know.
Possible.
I hope they make that kind of a big deal because she already has a massive AEW record and it's a really good one. Mm-hmm. And she's basically kind of at this point, if I didn't know that she wasn't signed, I'd consider her like the face of the AEW women's division. She's
Yeah, you
great.
can make that point. She is great. She is great. I mean,
So-
you gotta expect. I mean, I didn't notice on the bracket if Britt Baker Thunder Rosa semifinal was a possibility.
Yeah, it is. They can go two ways here. Because she's pointed out, so she beat, let's just look at the U.S. side right now. You got Thunder Rosa beating Leyla Hirsch. That's happened. Next week, you have Serena Deeb versus Riho. So the winner of Serena Deeb versus Riho is going to be taking on the winner of Thunder Rosa versus Leyla Hirsch.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, they're not going to have that match also be for the NWA title because it's part of the tournament. I mean, could they?
Yeah.
Sure. Would they? Doubt it. I would think maybe what they do, I don't know. Serena Deeb actually is signed with AEW, though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I doubt they would have. Yeah, I don't know. Because you also have Riho taking on Serena Deeb. I mean, I don't know how that match plays itself out. You could have. The bottom line is you could do this. You could either have Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker in the semifinals because that matches up with the bracket. Because they got Ty Conti versus Nyla Rose.
Nyla Rose and then Britt
Baker versus Anna Jay.
Yeah.
Britt Baker's totally going to win that, I would think, against Anna Jay. Nyla Rose is going to beat Ty Conti. That's probably like the lock here because Riho's a former champion. Is she just going to job out to Serena? Number one, that's going to be a really great match.
It is. But you wouldn't think so, but at the same time, Serena Deeb is the NWA Women's Champion. So
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. You can do the Thunder Rosa Britt Baker in the semifinals.
yeah.
And have, I mean, at that point, don't you have to have Thunder Rosa, who's not an AEW wrestler, win the U.S. side of the bracket? Even though she has such a stacked AEW record, and theoretically she could be an AEW wrestler.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I'll put it this way. I don't know if they're going to try to establish a new star or reestablish a star like Nyla Rose. I could see Nyla Rose winning this whole thing to sort of reestablish her. Or are you going to take an existing storyline that doesn't need the tournament, but I guess could use the tournament, Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa, and have that go to the semifinals? Because that does seem like a natural matchup.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know which one they'd want to do. On the Japanese side of things, you've got Yuka Sakazaki versus Mei Suruga, and these are going to be taking place on AEW's YouTube channel.
Correct. Yeah, at least the first round is, yeah.
On, I think, starting Monday. You got Veni versus Emi Sakura, Maki Ito, which is like for sure the buzziest person going into these matches, versus Ryo Mizunami, and then Aja Kong versus Rin Katakura. I have no idea what to expect coming out of the Japan side of things, other than the fact that Maki Ito is so popular.
Yeah.
Like if they haven't filmed these already, I could see them having her advance if she wasn't going to in the first place, just based off of the buzz that she's gotten.
Could be. I'm excited to check these matches out. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
After them revealing the bracket, we get a Jungle Boy interview. We find out that Marco Stunt is fine. Nonetheless, Jungle Boy still wanted to talk directly to FTR. He said 2 weeks ago he had a match against Dax Harwood, and he said he's never been in a fight like that before. He came out on top, and he came out a different man. He says, we didn't tell on you to AEW management. We are not responsible for you guys being suspended and out of the Battle Royal. He says, we wanted to face you, and when we do, he says, I'm going to make you both my bitch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then we get the main event.
And we get our main event, which was absolutely crazy. Again, like they did for the guy that we knew had to take the pin here, Archer. They literally just concentrated on making him the star of the match. I mean, you had Kenta and Mox just obsessed with each other the entire time, and Kenny obsessed with Mox the entire time, which was great. Meanwhile, that allowed Archer just to create as much havoc and destruction as possible. The very first thing that happens, Kenta whacks Archer with the briefcase as Archer is going after Mox, and Archer just sort of looks like a mosquito bit him. Like, he's just been bothered for a moment. And then Kenny chop blocks Archer. Mox and Kenta go at it. Kenny then goes to attack Mox, and we're off to the races.
Yeah, there's a little bit where Kenny's laying the boots to Mox, and Kenta pushes him out of the way so he can start kicking him, and Kenny pushes him out of the way, which allows Mox to make a bit of a comeback, but then eventually Kenny and Kenta kind of start working together. At one point, Archer and Kenny are sent out of the ring. Kenta and Mox square off some forearms. Kenta goes for a GTS. Mox escapes. Mox goes for paradigm shift. Kenny's in there to blast him with the garbage can. After that, Archer brings a ladder in, hits a belly-to-belly on Kenny onto the ladder, and Mox takes out Kenta with a suicide dive. So then the match goes up into the crowd. Kenta gets into it with Peter Avalon a little bit, hits him with a GTS. He tries to suplex Archer onto Avalon's bed. Archer escapes that. Kenny goes for a springboard off the barricade. Archer catches him and chokeslams Kenny through Archer's bed, covers, and then Kenta breaks up that pin. Things go backstage. Kenta DDTs Mox on a table back there. Archer blasts Kenta, blasts him with a box of potatoes.
we get, and then Jared says, "Go on, Tony, you can say it." He just potatoed him.
It was great.
He had Mox had a potato. He grabbed a potato and he punched Kenny with it.
Yeah.
Oh, this was why we had earlier. You had Kenny did the "you can't escape" thing, and because he had a trash can out, and he did the moonsault with the trash can spot onto Mox. That was awesome.
So good. It was so good. So they eventually brawl back towards ringside. Kenny V triggers Mox onto the timekeeper table. After that happens, Archer and Kenta start fighting out towards commentary. And Archer wants to powerbomb Kenta through the commentary table. Tell him to get out of the way. He sets him up. Kenta escapes. And then rather going after Archer, he leaps off the stage and double stomps Mox to the table. Amazing.
So unexpected. That because I didn't quite put together the landscape, the geography of where we were, but it's like he went into another scene.
Yeah, it was great.
He leaves one and he just goes immediately.
Gosh, that
it's
was
like
so
he has like a spider sense for Mox, and he just immediately went and stomped him on that table. You know that table was supposed to break and it didn't.
Yeah, I know. So after that, Archer focuses on Kenny. He starts yelling at him. Kenny grabs the kendo, takes a swing at Archer. Archer catches it, snaps the kendo stick. Kenny goes for a snapdragon. Archer escapes that, hits Kenny with a choke slam. Old school moonsault gets a 2. Goes for blackout on Kenny. Kenny escapes that. Good brothers make the way out to the stage.
This finish is great.
It's fantastic. So Archer goes after him. And then Kenta hits Archer with a couple back fists. Archer responds with a boot to him. Carl Anderson reverses a choke slam into a gun stun.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was so
good.
That on its own should be like a finish because that was beautiful.
It was so well done. So then Jake hits the short arm clothesline of Carl Anderson.
Rainmaker.
Doc then clocks Jake, so he's leaning against the ropes. Kenny set up for a V-trigger on Jake the Snake Roberts. He's making his run towards him. Mox runs in with the barbed wire bat, clocks Kenny in the gut with it. He takes it to the Good Brothers. Kenta runs in, hits Mox with GTS. Archer is looking for double choke slam. Kenta and Kenny low blow him. Good Brothers hit Archer with a magic killer. Kenny follows with the V-trigger. Tries to get him up by himself for a one-winged angel. Good Brothers help him up. Kenny get him up there. He hits one-winged angel and Archer to get the W. Such a fun match.
Meanwhile,
really
the camera cuts out to the outside and Kenta's just beating the crap out of Mox. Yeah, that was good stuff. And there was no celebration. I don't believe Kenta went in there to celebrate with the other fake Bullet Club guys.
No.
But he had his job is done. We'll see if anything else advances there on Strong. There's still 2 weeks before the new.
Yeah, they got 16
USA
days
show.
till that happens. So I mean, who knows? Maybe Kenta will be back on AEW TV between now and then.
I hope so, man. Because he brought a lot this week. He brought a lot. It was tons of fun.
It really was. It really was.
All right.
Shall we answer some questions? Yeah.
Yeah, man. You're going to read some from the live Twitch chat. Meanwhile, I have a thread over here from our patrons at patreon.com/Steve and Larson. We'll start with, let's see here, Thomas Dunnigan. Would Archer beating Omega for the title be a good move or no? Eventually, him winning the title is a hard yes from me because, and I think AEW sees a lot in Archer. The things that this dude can do, and that's why I think you see a match like this out of him. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how far along it'll be, but keep the losses for this guy few and far between. And
They have
eventually,
so far. They've done a really good job of booking him for the most part.
they have. And from now until whenever, just if he's gonna take a loss, it needs to be everybody piles on him, because this dude has all the tools. He has a great look. His moveset is fantastic. He's the real deal, man.
He is. He really is. Goatee 11 with some bits says, with Sammy saying, I need a break from here, do you think he may be going to Impact for a bit, or maybe even Japan, or just taking a break?
I kind of feel like anything's possible, to be honest with you.
Taking a break, and then when the huge split in Inner Circle happens, he shows up and twists the knife in Jericho's back and say, it was me. I was in on this with the MJF all along.
We're just gonna have to keep our eyes on Sammy Guevara from this point on, man, because I
guess
you're
so. Start watching his vlogs
for clues and Easter eggs.
There you go. Yoshbol asks, is Sammy going to show up at the New Japan Cup?
We got to do like an Easter egg video where, like, in reflections, is this MJF with a red circle right here?
There you go. He'll be back before, because I feel like this is all going to come to a head at Revolution during the tag title match or at the end of it. Could be.
Let's see here. James Fletcher, make a fatal four-way for WWE, AEW, Impact, and New Japan championships. Champions of your choosing. Make a fatal four-way for all.
It's like your best champion or best match with any champion, regardless. So it's AEW, New Japan, Impact, and NXT.
AEW, WWE, Impact, and New Japan.
Right. Kenny, Kota Ibushi.
I mean, dude, you got to put Moose in there.
Yeah, Moose.
I'm
trying to think who from WWE I'd put in there.
Where the pool is champions?
Yeah.
I mean,
Finn's
got the most story for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be hard not to put Drew McIntyre in there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Sound choice too.
I kind of prefer the guy who doesn't, that's an alpha right there,
Broken Wheelchair, really liking Leyla Hirsch. Hope they just don't turn her into the jobber for wrestlers not contracted to AEW. I don't think they will. I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I think
she's
really
probably
good,
see a lot in her, but she's fairly new. She's just having sort of a breakout sort of period right now. I think that she'll go a long way. I really do.
Patrick Oliva, could Cody be legit injured by that Bononi move? I don't think so. I didn't notice him nursing the shoulder.
No, I think he just.
I felt like that was story.
Right. Yeah. It looked like a relatively safe move. George Calloway, if you had a weekly New Japan episode, who would you want to do your podcast intro? I mean, at this point, probably be LP for me.
Oh yeah, Yano.
Oh no. Yeah, Yano would be great. Jay White.
Yeah.
I don't, dude. I am so turned around on he is so damn good with his promos. I love Jay White's promos. They're so angry and desperate. Everything he says just has that I'm at my wit's end with everything, and I just want to destroy it all.
It's great.
I love Jay White's promos.
He's so good.
But yeah, who wouldn't say Yano? That'd be great.
Hip Hop Hippo, Lee Johnson. I mentioned this. Lee Johnson specifically did not mention QT Marshall standing right behind him. QT looked like he'd been wounded by being left out.
Yeah, that's what everybody was saying. I'll have to rewatch that. Let's see here. Oh, this is great. Ian Flores. I'm just a sucker for local car dealerships. He says, whenever I see Lee Johnson, I always think of my local car dealership named Lee Johnson Chevrolet.
Mr. Forbesy, with AEW having a working relationship with Impact for the time being, should Santana and Ortiz just go back to being LAX?
Yeah. Yes. 100%. Of course. Obviously, yes. I wonder, I am curious. Maybe this is a question. Maybe Cal would know this. Maybe. These relationships, these talent exchanges, do you think they're legal documents that they use, or are they just
handshake deals?
Verbal agreements. Hey, send your guy over and don't make him look like an idiot.
I'm sure there's conversations about the creative aspect of it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I think more than anything, I don't mean, are there contracts drawn up saying, this person will appear on this number of dates of Impact Television or on AEW? That I don't know.
I wonder if that'd be
conversations had between Don Callis and Tony Khan at the least about creatively how to approach this so everybody comes out of it looking good.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, I'd imagine there's just sort of standard, like contract paperwork for the workers.
Yeah, you
I
think
don't
so.
know. I'm not a wrestler, but I figure that's probably the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if there's legal paperwork. It's just because it's got such a great, and you could even tell in the paid advertisements on Impact that Tony Khan legitimately seems to love this stuff. Mm-hmm. He seems to absolutely have a blast doing this stuff. And everybody that's working in AEW, this has always been kind of the case. They all just seem like they're having a lot of fun. But that really translates, all this Forbidden Door stuff really translates into stuff that just seems like it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. A couple little details from the Inner Circle segment. Heel Long Heavy says Wardlow was patting MJF on the shoulder. And Rocco says Jericho almost had cry face. There's that nice moment after Sammy left where MJF walks up to him and Jericho shoves him back. Shoves him. Mm-hmm. And then I think it was Santana goes up to him and or maybe Ortiz, one member of XLX, and he's is actually kind of talking to him.
Mm-hmm. Because this stuff is planned.
Oh yeah,
probably within an inch of its detail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Oh, sorry. Call Me Jan says Sammy walked out the face entrance too. The face tunnel.
Yeah. That people always mention. They always notice which Hangman has done that as well. Sometimes he'll go down the heel entrance. Mm-hmm. James Fletcher says, I hope Pac is as angry and pissed off in real life as in wrestling. I don't, because that'd be horrible for people to have to
miserable existence.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Scooter, who wants to bet Simon Miller is still thinking that Sammy and MJF are in cahoots? I don't see anything that happened tonight that would dissuade him from thinking that as a possibility. Mm-hmm. Beans from the East, I feel like it's a swerve and MJF and Sammy are in it together.
There you go. The glorious Steve Klain, if you were to introduce wrestling to a new fan these days, which company would you have them check out first? I mean, give me a reason why it wouldn't be AEW.
The only SmackDown.
Yeah, SmackDown.
I mean, because if people want to check out wrestling, WWE is like the name brand. It's the Xerox, the Kleenex, the professional wrestling. So they might think, oh, it's not WWE. What kind of, fly-by-night organization is this going to be? I agree. I mean, if they don't know anything about wrestling, they've at least heard WWE.
I'll make this point. I'll make this case for AEW. When I got into wrestling, it was in the college years.
Yeah.
And I got into WCW. Mm-hmm. So that introduced me, and I've been largely because, I knew the names Hogan, Macho Man. To me, that at the time was the standard. Had I been introduced to WWF at the time in 97 when they were doing some really cool stuff, I probably would have been into it. Mm-hmm. To me, it didn't really matter. I knew the name WWF more than I knew WCW. Mm-hmm. But WCW just felt more familiar. They were doing the NWO stuff. It was really cool.
Well, no, but I guess, also AEW doesn't have a Hogan or a Macho Man, someone that's a holdover to that level of fame. I mean, Mox is the closest thing they have, and he's nowhere close to as popular and famous as Hogan or Macho Man were in their heyday.
But does WWE have anybody? I mean, they have Sasha Banks from Mandalorian.
Well, yeah, they have Sasha and Becky and Roman. But, I just feel like, in terms of creativity, 100% AEW. In terms of interesting stories, good wrestling, I'd point to AEW. But if the situation's all I know about wrestling is the name WWE, I'd be like, well, maybe, the familiarity aspect of that is a good enough entryway. And if you enjoy that, here's something that's actually better.
Yeah. I'd start off with AEW. I'd just be straight up because everybody knows wrestling. Whether you're aware of specifics or not. Yeah, I don't know. I just probably, isn't this WWE? Yeah, but this stuff is like much more fun. I'd go to like wherever people think that they're having. Sorry, WWE stands, but it is. It's a lot of fun. People seem like they're having fun in AEW.
That's true. Gary MacArthur says, "Oh my gosh, it's called the Judas effect because there's going to be betrayal like the actual Judas. Such long-term booking." Yeah, I think Jericho just named it after his song.
Yeah. Let's see here. Moses opposes. Let's say in 5 years, Ryan Nemeth is still in AEW. This is a great question. How do they repackage him so he isn't Wish.com Ziggler?
What's his natural hair color? Get rid of the blonde hair. That's a start. Find some pants for him, his shorts for him that don't look like what Dolph wore 5 years ago.
Right? You need here's what you do. This is what you do.
He hits the catering table really hard. Gets a little bit of a tummy on him.
Oh no. You don't want to waste a physique like that. It's beautiful. Magnifique. I would do this. And this is top of my head. The least Dolph Ziggler gimmick I can think of off the top of my head is NXT Baron Corbin. Because Dolph Ziggler is very like pristine and shiny, and he even wears like the silly SmackDown hat. Baron Corbin wearing what looks like dirty person gear is like the opposite of that. So have him grow out the beard a little bit. I know Baron didn't have a beard, but still have him grow out the beard a little bit. Mess up his hair. Yes, put whatever his natural hair color is. Maybe give him like, if he doesn't want to get real tattoos, give him like a fake arm sleeve of tattoos. Like an Ed Hardy Halloween shop type thing.
Yeah.
And then give him something that just looks post-apocalyptic and dirty.
Because that's good, because Dolph, he's the show-off. What's the opposite of a show-off? An introvert.
A piece of shit. Yeah.
So,
or introvert,
Yeah, so he tries to blend in as best he can. He just looks like anybody else.
Exactly.
There you go.
I'm here to wait in line. I'm here to wait in line. A crowd.
I'm here to blend in. I'm here to blend in with everybody else. Broken wheelchair. That Falls Anywhere match reminded me of early 2000s WB games when you could do anywhere in the arena in some match types.
Oh man, wasn't that so much fun? Love doing that stuff. Dog authority figure. Will Hangman Page be alienated from the whole locker room? Where do you see him fitting in, or will he be lone wolf forever?
Eventually, he'll find that the key to get into the next phase of his career is by trusting people.
I think
who those people are, I'm not sure. It's either Dark Order or there's the Young Bucks again.
I think it's going to be this. I think he's going to go from place to place. He's going to go from town to town because that's what he's doing right now. But in the end, all these relationships he's made is going to lead to him thinking he's alone. But when he wins that title, he's going to be hoisted up like Lex Luger beating Yokozuna, which is the second time I made that reference today.
Yes,
and he's going to realize...
Such a touchstone in wrestling history for Steve.
It is for the world. And he's going to be hoisted up and realize that the entire time these relationships that he thinks he's abandoned, have grown in people's hearts, and he is surrounded by love and joy. And then he's going to get really drunk.
That's good. Combat Films Hunter, did no one see how Don and the caddy moved the ball when Kenny and Alex were talking? Again, I'm watching this on like half my laptop screen, so if there's details in the background, sometimes they get lost.
So I admittedly, I was watching, but I was paying attention to Kenny and Marvez, and I think I was taking some notes while Kenny was talking. And then I see Callis pick up the ball and be like, "Hey, it's here, buddy. You did it." And I was like, "Oh, that was too over the top. I'm sure he missed that." So I kind of figured that was the case. And then they mentioned on commentary that he cheated. So I was like, okay. But I didn't actually see it. It was a great bit, though.
It's a good bit. Rocco, Leyla Hirsch versus John Silver matches on YouTube are really great. You guys should give it a look. Cool. Definitely will.
Yeah. Gregory Fiella, other than Sammy leaving, let's just take this at face value here.
Yeah.
Who do you think would benefit the most from leaving the inner circle? My early answer would be Wardlow. He leaves the employ of... Oh, that's a good one. I like Wardlow because, man, he's really good. Like, really good.
He is really good. Gary MacArthur, I was getting my car serviced today and had time to kill, so I saw Star Wars, the proper one, in the cinema. It occurred to me that might be the last time, the realization, maybe cry like a little baby. Now I feel all whelmed. I need a hug or something.
That's a lot. That's a lot you're dropping on us, man.
Really is.
That's a lot.
Maz dropping a couple subs on us. CB 1983 and Keon 15. Thank you, Maz 420.
Thank you, Maz 420. That's all the questions I have on the Patreon.
All right.
So that's going to do it for us. Twitch chat, stick around. We'll answer some more of your questions. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. See, we got to entice people to show up for our live Twitch chats, and then we'll answer your questions too. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Help support Going In Raw today by becoming a Friendo Club TV member. You'll get access to new bonus episodes every week, including Friendo Club Arcade, Live Power Rank, Vintage 10 for the Wins, and Ask Steven Larson. Get access to Friendo Club TV today by becoming a $5 and up patron at patreon.com/Steven Larson, by throwing us a sub at twitch.tv/Steven Larson, or by clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson.